Hello, this is Lisa LaRose here on Connect to Love on PRNFM, and I am joined by my co-host, Michael J. Russ. I am so honored and so excited, Michael, because the subject today is something near and dear to both of our hearts. Both of us were mentored by Glenn Brooks, who had the Vibrant Living Network, and Glenn used to always talk about living in the miraculous, and I think I'm not really sure where it originated from, but I thought to myself, Michael told me one of the most amazing stories, and I thought, geez, that's really miraculous. And then pondering about what it really means to live in the miraculous. And so just for a moment, imagine that you live in a reality where you are included in everything. Nothing is separate from you. Anything that happens to you or happens to others. It's all about the connection. You are receiving from everybody you meet, and they are receiving from you. And I think in my mind, that's really sort of how the miraculous starts, because there is nothing that is not shared. And no matter how great the problem, they only come in one at a time. And I heard a really amazing analogy about sands in an hourglass, that only one grain of sand could pass through the hourglass at a time. So no matter where we are, understand that there's only one problem, one thing that you focus on at a time that can pass through that hourglass. And Michael, I would love for you to share with our audience. Michael had the most unusual and amazing situation that unfolded for him, and it's all about, I think it's miraculous, not only your attitude, but the way things aligned. And so I'm going to welcome you, and I'd love for you to share that, and we'll just kick off the show that way.
Sure, no problem. Thank you so much. You're always a pleasure to get together with once a week and enlighten our PRNFM audience. Well, listen, this is really interesting because I'm still bowled away by this, because I have 3 golf games tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday that I'm going to play with some friends. And last Sunday, I was ready to get out and go play, and I discovered that I didn't have my clubs. You see that my car was in the shop. It had been in the shop all week long, and not once did I think about the fact that my clubs were in the trunk of my car. So I was set to go to a tee time. I had about half an hour, and I said, oops. I looked in the trunk of my girlfriend's car where the clubs normally are, and I said, oh, my gosh, it's in the clubs. I don't have any clubs. I had golf shoes. I had balls. I had tees. I had nothing to play with. So I called a buddy of mine really quickly, kind of roused him up, and I said, hey, I need some clubs, man. I don't have any. So he says, come on down. I went on down to his garage, and he's got, most golfers have 2-3 sets of clubs. I actually had 2 other sets of clubs, but they were in a shed, but the key to the shed was in my car as well, so I had no access to them. And so I said, I really do need something, pal. You got to hook me up. So he'd been telling me for a long time to change the shafts from steel to graphite. It was easier to hit. It's easier on my back and my body. And I'm going, yeah, okay. I'm playing halfway decently, pretty well, and with the clubs I have, and I'll do that eventually. Well, he gives me these clubs. He says, here's a bunch of clubs. Try these. I put them. Had a golf bag in my attic, so I went up and got it, brought it down, put the clubs in, and I said, oh my gosh, I've got all these clubs, and the putter I was going to use was my own. I didn't use it very often, but I have about 5 putters, so I grabbed one. And I said, okay, I'm just going to go out and we'll see how things unfold. I have no expectations, no nothing, because I have no idea how I'm going to play with these clubs. And usually, clubs are very specific to the user when you craft them that way, and that's what you want to do. And when you have your swing down, you have your rhythm down, and all that, you want to actually take away the variables of the way you play, and that you do that by by customizing your clubs to your swing, your grip, your length, your height, your everything, your type of performance. And so these clubs I had nothing in common with them. So I was sitting out there, and I went off the first tee, and I didn't hit any balls on the driving range because I usually never do that anyway. I just went off the first tee, and I said, let's see how this unfolds. And I got to say, as I progressed through the round, I was hitting shots, and I'm just marveling at a couple of things of how well I'm striking the ball, how well I'm putting the ball where it needs to be. And I said, and how well the putter's operating that I haven't used, because I have, like I said, 5 of them, and I have my favorite. And so I get, long story short, I don't want to take the audience through this whole business, but I'll simply say this. As I progressed through the round, I noticed that when I got done with the first 9, because I play like I live life. It's one step at a time, one moment at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And I let things unfold and don't get ahead of myself. I'm just going, okay, one shot at a time. I'll take care of this shot, then I'll take care of the next shot. And after the first half of the round, I was 2 over the recommended amount of shots for, they call it par, but the recommended number of shots. And I said, wow, I'm 2 over. Ordinarily, I am about 2 over with my own clubs. If I'm playing well, I'm about 2 over. And I got to the backside, the second 9, and I started playing, and lo and behold, I'm hitting shots with longer clubs. I'm putting the ball within 10 high, which would be equal with. In other words, my gauging of distance was absolutely perfect. I'm looking at a number. I'm trusting what I have because there's something called a range finder. It's a little device that you can give yourself an exact range from the pin from anywhere on the course. And that was in my golf bag in the trunk of my car, so I didn't have that either. All I had was simply a set of clubs that I'd never used, and I was using a computer GPS that was in the cart I was driving, which is only usually 70% accurate. And I just looked at it, and I'm going, okay, let's just pick a club. I'll just figure and finagle it out. And when I got done with the second 9, I was 2 under. So basically, I'd wiped out the 2 strokes I had gained. I was over on the front, and because I had what they call birdies. I had 3 birdies almost in a row, putting extremely well. I was very relaxed. It surprised the heck out of me because ordinarily, if you're playing with something that's not yours, instruments, clubs that you're unfamiliar with, in the back of your mind, you're thinking that okay, I don't know what this is going to do. You keep saying that to yourself. I don't know where this is going, but I'm gonna give it my best shot. Well, none of that went through my head. It was just I was a blank slate for how these things were going to work. So at the end of the round, I was dead even. Now, to put this into perspective, I've only shot dead even golf probably 10 times in my life. That's how challenging it is to play even, not over or not under the recommended number of strokes, which is 72. So I shot 72, and I'm like, I played the second best round of golf this year on my birthday, and I shot 73 with my clubs, and I hadn't been able to do it since. And here I take some clubs that I don't even know from Adam, and I shoot one better than my best round of golf this year, and one of the 10 best rounds of golf in my life. Now, there were no holes in one and no fancy things, but the number of birdies I got was really, really pretty amazing from wherever I was. So I'm blown away by this, and I'm starting to think about this, and I'm putting this together. I'm going, what are the odds that I wouldn't think about for the entire week? I had planned this round of golf, that the entire week I wouldn't think about golf clubs until moments before I had to leave to go to the course. Now, what's up here with that? That's number one. Number two, I have no rangefinder. Number 3, I'm lucky that my buddy has some clubs who lives down the street, or I'm toast. I got nothing. I didn't go rent a set of clubs from the course, perhaps. But the idea of this, how much of a miracle this was for me, was more about the mindset that I had all morning long, the mindset. Now, couple this with the fact that when we finished, it was 109 degrees on the heat index.
Wow. Oh, my goodness, Michael.
So it was hotter than blazes outside. It was 100 degrees in the heat index by 8 o'clock in the morning. Okay? So it wasn't that's something that we've experienced for a month and a half. So that really wasn't different about the day. The wind was normal. It was the way that I actually approached it, and that's the lesson from this, is that sometimes we're thrust into situations and circumstances that are completely foreign, and in my view, I was thrust into that situation for a reason. Perhaps my guide said, we're going to play a little trick on him. No clubs, no rangefinder. We're going to make him borrow some clubs, and then we're going to see what kind of magic he can make, okay, out on the course. And I didn't get ahead of myself. I didn't create the doubts in my mind about how I was going to play. I didn't have these negative perceptions about how my round would go. I just simply said, I'm going to let it unfold. And in life, this is, in my view, what we should do with every single day, is simply let it unfold. We work with what we have. We don't disrespect ourselves or get down on ourselves or beat ourselves up because we don't have the normal tools that we have in life. We're driving a different vehicle. We're driving, we're going to a place we've never been to before. We're meeting some people that we have never encountered before, never had any connection with before. This is what life is. Life is daily, day in and day out, being engaged in things with perhaps not all the tools that we're normally used to. And it's a mindset. Living the miraculous, in my view, is simply a mindset, okay? And the same mindset, by the way, now here's the thing about life that really trips a lot of people up. You go out and you have this miracle. Now I'm going to go play 3 days in a row. Am I going to go into tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. when I tee off with, I have to shoot the same round of golf and put that kind of pressure on myself? Absolutely not. Whatever happens, happens. I'm going to play with the same clubs. I said he's got these clubs for sale, so quite frankly, I can pick them up for a song. But the point is that I said I don't want to make any commitments to anything without using these clubs 2 more times. I just want to use them 2 more times, see how they feel. I'll have my rangefinder. Maybe that'll make a difference. I'll have my driver, not versus somebody else's, which I didn't play too well with. I didn't play too well with his main club, Golf the Tee. And that was just a function of it being such a vastly different club. So I clubbed down to something that I did have confidence in, and I made magic from that particular point. That's what was different about this game versus any other. However, that's where the miracle comes in. It's a mindset and a state of being that you live in the midst of every moment of your day, and that's what I love about golf, and is that it is a game of miracles that can unfold for you, and they unfold sometimes so quickly that it's very easy to put yourself down, to say, this isn't me. I can't do this. I don't normally do this. I'm not capable of this. How is this happening to me? And that's where we ruin it. We ruin the mindset by getting down on ourselves. And what we should be saying is, this is me. I'm worthy of this. I can do this. I can make this kind of magic happen. And I'm so proud of myself for doing it. That is where we should.
Absolutely. Yeah, it would have been very easy for you to cancel the game and say, you know what, guys, I can't make it today. Yeah. I don't have the equipment. I don't have the equipment that I need. The things that I'm comfortable with. And I really do. I believe wholeheartedly that the universe put that in your path, Michael.
Exactly.
As for so many different reasons, not only for you, and I mean, it was a miraculous game. It was a miraculous set of circumstances that you have somebody in your wheelhouse that is able to supply that information or the equipment to you. Be like, hey, and it's sort of like foreshadowing. You should really switch to graphite, right? And you kind of go, yeah. But I love it because really everything that you did impacted something else, and not only you, but also the other individuals that were on the golf course to you that bear witness to what unfolded, knowing that you were seemingly handicapped, right? Handicapped by not having what you thought or believed you needed.
Exactly. Hit the nail on the head with that one. It's a great comment there. Perception, observation, I should say, that the word handicapped is one that we often use when we are not in our normal element, right? And I think about this every time I see someone in whatever context who maybe doesn't have a right hand or doesn't have a left arm. And just to let you know, back in California when I was there 20 years ago, I used to play this. I used to member of this course, and it was a municipal course up the street from myself. They had a gentleman who played there. He was probably in his 50s, late 50s. He only had one arm, yet he beat most of the people he played golf with. He was a one-armed golfer, and he was fabulous. And I got the opportunity to play with him one time, play 9 holes, and I was stunned at how he just literally, there was no perception of handicap. There was only opportunity, and it is amazing. And this is we are somehow in this world conditioned to think that when you are not in your element, when you don't have your tools, that you are handicapped. Mm-hmm. Even if it's a part of your body, that you're handicapped, and it's a crime in my view to even think that way. Everybody has a special gift. Everybody has the ability to create the miraculous, to live from and in the miraculous, and it's just a function of not thinking that someone is handicapped. I'd rather look for what is your special talent, what is your special gift that you incarnated with. What is that? That's what I want to know. It's not that they have cerebral palsy or they're on the autistic spectrum, whatever it may be. There is a gift there. What is it? What is and there's maybe multiple gifts and talents that haven't been discovered.
Sure.
The focus on the handicap really just doesn't do justice to the fact that there is something there that is not being able to come to the surface because the focus is elsewhere. The focus is on the handicap, and you see these stories about savants one way or another, and it's like this smoke and mirrors thing. The handicap's over here, that's where you're focused, but the real gift is right here. And when it comes to the surface, you go, oh wow, that's amazing. Yeah, it's amazing. Mm-hmm. It's also miraculous,
right? It is.
So anyway, I just wanted to put that out there because
I love it. It's just such a great story, and I don't know if you're familiar with the work of Paramahansa Yogananda. In his book Autobiography of a Yogi, he talked about the law of miracles, and he said that miracles as we know them do not exist. They are actually beyond explanation or ability to comprehend them. But he said every human being has and can operate on the level of that realization, and that you can be in a state of bliss, or they called it samdhi, where you attract and miracles just unfold for you in very unexpected ways. And I think that's what is so important. You didn't have to be a master yogi to be able to levitate or take your body processes almost to nothing. That they exist around us all the time, and that there's this force within us that we can kind of sort of assimilate or sort of automatically attune to, and that as we do, things become greater possibilities, I think is what it is. And I read something the other day that they said that all impossibilities are just opinions, not facts.
I love it. I love it.
And
I love it. Possibility, yeah. It's a perception. Impossibility, an opinion, a perception. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, Yeah, and I think that you can throw the word miracles in there. You know, we don't necessarily have to think of, you know, the miracles that are biblical. I think that around us every day, I mean, you speak about the miracle of birth. You speak about, you know, the miracle of breath, the miracles that you see transformation. You have somebody that perhaps had an addiction that you thought would never be able to overcome it. And then something shifts. Somebody walks into their path and says just the right words that shift that consciousness or that point for them so that they gain a belief about themselves. And I think a lot of us really do underrate ourselves. We don't see how miraculous we are.
That's true. In my view, it's because of the fact that we have this element of doubt about what we can do or what we are capable of. And we don't want to set ourselves up for success. We want to set ourselves up for the possibility of failure and not feeling bad about it. When actually we should be setting ourselves up for success mentally from the very, very beginning. And it's I've told stories before about, you know, sitting down with people to play drums that I've never even spoken to in my life the moment before I ask them to do so, and how joyous it is to play, to just step into that moment in time, believing fully 110% that I'm going to be successful. And that is the way that you create success, create that miracle in that moment, is by believing in yourself 100%. Fully, that there's no stepping backward. You're stepping forward, and it's almost like the path you stepped from disappears. It's not there anymore. You can't go backwards. You must stay moving forwards. And each step you take, the path that's behind you disappears. And, you know, so you're not thinking about the past. You're not thinking about that path or being able to go back or, you know, changing your mind. Okay, so you talk to some people who absolutely have succeeded in their vocation, and it's interesting to see what their mindset is. You know, a Kobe Bryant or a Jabbar in basketball, tennis players.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
Ben Hogan, right, in golf, right?
Yeah, and in golf, it's so true.
Tiger
You wonder,
Woods.
yeah, what is the reasoning behind? You know, the fascinating thing is that Tiger Woods fascinated a lot of people, and he had a really, really long and glorious career and more success in a shorter period of time than most golfers in history. And what's interesting is that you find interesting is that even today, you know, when he's not playing in the game, there are everybody on tour. There's 125 players that all have the capability of winning. They all have the tools. They all have the skill. The question every time they go out is whether they have the mindset. It's always about mindset, because that dictates absolutely everything. And it's what they believe they're capable of. And Tiger always believed, his dad drilled into him, that he was capable of winning every time he stepped onto a course. He was capable of that. I mean, years and years of that, of drilling that into your mind, that it teaches you that miracles are only a moment away, a thought away, and that all you have to do is put yourself in that miraculous mindset and just let things unfold and never doubt that you can achieve the goal that you are seeking to achieve. Whether you're not, it's the other thing too, whether or not you get there or not, you're still going to experience you're going to have a much greater experience of life than if you hadn't. And that's the thing I find so interesting. I'm not going to be disappointed if I shoot 72 or 74 or 75 tomorrow. I'm not going to be disappointed. I'm not, you know, because the right set of conditions I mean, there are variables that occur when you're playing golf. The wind may be different. Every time you go out, your swing is different. People don't get that, but I tell people this all the time. You got to understand something. Every time you play, I don't care if you're a tennis player, you're a pickleball player. Your physicality is different every time you go out to play. It's not exactly the same as it was and the conditions are different. Physicality, conditions, who you're playing, your mindset, all of these things are different each time you go out. So you have to take what you get and work with it. And that is the beauty of it. And that's life too. You get up every day, you go out, you may take the same route to work, but the same cars aren't next to you every day. The same circumstances don't exist. The same weather doesn't exist. And the same accidents that occur that stop traffic up here and there, that doesn't exist every day. So you have to take what you get and believe in yourself and that whatever your goal or mission is, that you can succeed at it and that something amazing can happen. What's interesting is that, I can't remember who told me this, but they said you're only a moment away from a miracle. You just have to believe in them.
Well, that's beautiful.
Yeah, you're only a moment away. You just have to believe that they're there, that will occur, right? And that's really the case, is that you have to simply believe that whatever it is that you're doing, that the miracle will appear. And that belief creates a law of attraction. You put emotion into it, and there you go. The formula is pretty basic. The question is always, can you execute maintaining that formula? Can you execute the formula? And every single day. And that's why the same golfer doesn't win every week, and it's the reason why Tiger won more tournaments than anybody else. And other people, he had people doubting themselves. Because he won so often, he had other people doubting themselves. And that was one of the biggest clouds that was over golf at the time. People knew that if Tiger entered the tournament, and please understand something. I want to be specific about this because it is very much a miracle that he had the career he had, because he played less than half the tournaments that everybody else did at the same time over the same period. He would only play every couple of weeks. He wouldn't play every week. Golfers had, up to that point, played every single week. They go out and grind it out every single week, right? He played one tournament every couple of weeks, one tournament every 3 weeks, right? And he would win. His winning percentage was higher. And the number of tournaments he played. People think, oh, yeah, he played 1,000 tournaments just like everybody else. No, he didn't. He amassed 82, 83 wins, 84 however wins he has in 300, 400 tournaments. He didn't play 1,000 tournaments like everybody else. And so you think about that and you wonder what kind of mindset produces those kinds of results outside of skill, of course, that he was, the skill aspect. People playing today of any sport, I don't care if it's tennis or soccer. World Cup is on as we're doing this right now. And the reason why certain teams are successful, more successful than others, and newer teams are coming up, is because the technology, performance technology, is so different than it was 20 years ago. Performance technology. So you have younger golfers. Now, Tiger started at 5. Actually, I think he had a golf club in his hand at 2. However, I think he was on the Johnny Carson show when he was 5. Shooting, playing, demonstrating some of the skills that he had. At that time, he was a prodigy at 5 years old. So he was doing something at 2 years old and 5 years old that other golfers up to that point in time hadn't done. The earlier you start and recognize a skill level or ability, and then you work with that ability, the better you're going to be when you are older, right? So the difference now is that not only do you have people starting out earlier in life in doing things, skills and abilities are identified early, and then people are working with them to develop those skills and abilities, as well as hopefully a mental mindset. But you have a lot of people doing the same thing in every different discipline, every different sport. And so there are people who will shine because they had earlier training than other people. And there are some golfers on the tour who only started when they were teenagers. They've won some tournaments, but are they that good? Not necessarily. They're not demonstrating that ability. So it's really interesting how knowledge, enlightenment, earlier in life, or at some particular point, you can I call it bookmarking. You can today bookmark that you're going to live from the miraculous. Yesterday was yesterday. And the way that I put this mentally is for people to say, up to now, up to this point in my life, I thought that. Now I think this. And it's a way of giving yourself permission to think differently. And I call it up to now. Up to now, up to this point in my life, that is the way I thought. That's the way I did things. Today, I think from the miraculous. Today on. And you can bookmark it and give yourself permission. Forgive yourself for all those other thoughts. It's the way of doing it. And now you think differently. And that I do that on the golf course. I do that in my everyday life when I want to change a behavior, change a thought pattern. I give myself permission by saying, up to now I did it this way. Now I'm going to do it this way. And I forgive myself for the way I did it before, which wasn't so successful. And so I encourage our viewers to kind of say that, just up to this point, up to now, this is the way I did it. And when you're talking to people, it's great to use that terminology. When they say, you always do that. And I say, well, up to now I did.
Right. You're right.
Right?
You're
well,
so right.
You always, because they think they know you. They think they know you. Think, I have this perception of preconceived idea.
Yeah.
He always or she always does that. And she always behaves that way. I know exactly what she's going to say. And you say, up to this point, I did say that. Now and they go, well, wait a minute. You just changed because I said no. Up to now, I did do that. Now I do it differently.
That's really great. And there was a saying that a habit, which is a lot of what people judge us because we're creatures of habit. That habit, it was actually a garment that you wear. And I love that analogy because I thought, it's like you put this on. So how do you have habits of how we react to problems or traffic jams, or we have certain routes that we take and we're driving home every day. And there could be an obstacle, there could be an accident, and we can either choose to sit in that quagmire of traffic, or we can look for another route. They say there is no obstacles, there's only opportunities. So if that is the case, the problems that we have are really blessings in disguise. How are they strengthening us? How do we change? How do we react to that? And I think that that's really an important analogy. And one of the things that I love, and we had an opportunity to speak with Dr. Nicosia on an earlier show, and the interesting thing is the nervous system cannot tell the difference between what's real or imagined in the experience. The nervous system reacts to what we believe to be true.
Right.
And so it's like the forebrain, like it reacts and it directs us one way or the other. So it's kind of like seeing that traffic light. So is the traffic light green, or are we conditioned to see yellow? Is there caution there, or is it red? We got to, where it quickly switches. Are we going to run through the light, or are we going to, take caution to the wind and stop and look both ways before we go crashing through? And I think that when we are really taking a look and seeing and witnessing, really bearing witness to the miracles in our lives, that things, you say, okay, well, there was this accident today when I was driving home, but I took that left turn and then I took the right turn. I kind of didn't really know where I was going, but I just found this really great restaurant that I never knew existed.
Exactly. That is so beautiful, because that's the way life is, and it's really interesting that it could be anything. I considered it now. There was a point in time where I just considered it to be coincidence or just accident or whatever. And now I'm simply of the mind that, my guide is making it a little bit more difficult for me to go that way because this is a better way. Because there's something that I need. Yeah, because this there's something along this path that I need to connect with, right? And it could be because I'm going to go to that restaurant at some point and connect with somebody that I need to be connected with. Yeah, I got to tell you this cute little story. We're in Biloxi.
Please. We're
in Biloxi at this Beau Rivage Resort. We go over there and just hang out at the pool and all day long in the heat. Just sit, and we talk to people, connect with people from all over the country who come down there. And I am after dinner. The first night we were there on Tuesday night, we went to hear a musician by the name of Dominguez who plays in the club. At the 875 bar, and I love listening to him. And I've run into him in several places around the city. And we've talked to him about where he's from, and he's from Puerto Rico, and he plays a whole different genre of music. But the interesting thing is, we go in and we sit down at the bar and we order a glass of wine and we're listening to him, and then this guy comes and sits next to us. And what does he do? He lights up a cigarette because you can smoke in there. And now we're like, oh, no, we can't be here. So we leave there and we go around, we escape him and go around the bar about 10, 15 degrees. And we take up residence in a couple of seats there. And there's this girl who's dancing on the dance floor with another girl. And she's got this book on the right next to us on the bar. And she comes over after she gets done with a couple of songs, and she's sitting there, and I said, hey, it's interesting that you're reading in here. She goes, oh, yeah. And the book was a self-help book. I can't tell you the name of it because I can't remember at this particular point. But she says, this is amazing, this stuff, and she's reading about this stuff. And she was at a point in her life where she was a sponge she had reached a level of awareness. Self-awareness, right? Spiritual awareness. Now she's like inquisitive. She was craving enlightenment. So I simply told her, maybe well listen to our podcast. And she goes, podcast? I go, yeah, Connect to Love. Here is what it is. She took her book and turned it to the back, and she wrote down. I said, Connect, number 2, and love. She says, oh, I love this. Yes, I'm going to listen to this. And so, young lady, if you are listening for the very first time to the show, I want to say thank you very much. I did not get her name. We weren't there long enough for that. However, the coolest thing was that she was, and I told her, I said, yeah, I was where you are now 40 years ago, and it's a great place to be. And she looks at me, she goes, I wish churches taught this kind of thing. And I'm going, well, let's not get into that right now. Let's just stay on on the path that you're on. There are some really great books out there. And I said, just understand that all these books you read, it's not literal that you're going to do everything that they say. It's just you're going to take the bits and pieces from everything you read, and you're going to adapt them to your life, because we all have a different life experience. And you're going to take the treasure and you're going to enrich your life from anything and everything that you read and listen to. And because not everything is, you're not meant to adopt everything literally. It's just, because you're in a different place. We're all coming from a different place in life. But you may find one or two things in this that help you in your life right now. And that's what it's about. It'll help you moving forward. And I said, I'm happy that you're in such a great place. And then we left. I said, thank you very much. It was beautiful. And we left, and I'm sitting there going, thank you very much, Smoker, for actually putting yourself there. And I'm thinking to myself, that's not an accident either. It's not an accident. It's not a coincidence. That particular person needed a connection with me. And the interesting thing is my girlfriend knows she's experienced this so often that she's like, oh, yeah, it's another one. It's like another individual who you're supposed to connect with, no matter where we are, no matter where we go, in the pool, anywhere, I'm connecting with people. And I get a chance to share the podcast with those people who are right for it, who are ready for it. And so I love it.
No, you're absolutely 100% right, Michael. When I I was a kid, and I don't remember exactly where the book came from. It was probably one of my mother's books, and I still actually have the book today. It was the book Jonathan Livingston Seagull by Richard Bach, and it has a lot of pictures in it, so a lot of photographs and things like that. And I think for me, the book had a very simple message, that it was that really he wanted to fly, and he wanted to have people really recognize that there's more than meets the eye to life, that you can have anything that you want. I mean, he was just he wanted to reach high and be free and discover and challenge and really follow his dreams, and it just I don't know, it was just such a simple book, but and I didn't even, I guess when I was a kid, I just didn't even realize that Richard Bach had written all these other books. But for me, that was I've kept that, and the pages are worn and whatnot. But I think it's sort of that exactly what you're talking about, that we have these things that come across our path that we hold and we embody, we learn from. Sometimes we pass them on to other people, but they are part of us, and they're part of the journey, and they are what makes our journey so unique, what makes us so amazingly unique in all the world. Like, as you met this young lady, you're just in different places, and there were things that she, I'm sure, after you left her, things that she said to you that inspired new thought and new awarenesses and new gifts in your life as well.
Yeah, you can't help but have that process happen. I think about the process of how I meet people, and how blessed I am to be able to be guided to people who are in a space that is so expansive, where their minds are just now open to life, and how to make life the best experience for them that it can be. Because there are a lot of people the people I come across who feel stuck, and there's just that they haven't really walked through that doorway yet, the doorway of awareness, self-awareness, and self-actualization, that they are in control of their own life experience and the way that they feel, because our society feeds on you not feeling good about yourself, because if you don't feel good about yourself, then you'll want what they are offering, because they're promising that it will make you feel good about yourself. And really, you don't need any of those things. All you really need is to rethink your whole proposition of how you're living your life and what you think about yourself. And that life can change when you change your mind. Life changes when you change your mind. It sounds so trite, doesn't it? So simple. However, it is a very challenging proposition, because we're taught the antithesis of living that way. We're taught that right. that we need this thing and we need that thing, and that you're taught to seek perfection, and that really it's not about perfection. It's about experiencing. It's about connecting, and it makes you feel joyfully fulfilled when you connect with another human being on a level of understanding that just brings joy to you. It's spectacular when that happens, and a smile speaks wonders. And when you can be in a state of being where you're smiling all the time because you're loving life, and as an extension, loving your life as it comes, the miracles will flow. It's and there are little miracles, there are big miracles, there are the little miracles. It's just let's just define this for a second. A miracle is not some cataclysmic It doesn't have to be a cataclysmic event. And
right.
where a hand comes down and says, no, that's not
Right.
about that. We're talking about the little things, the little miracles. That's what brings joy to your life, and it's what helps you to love your life experience is the little things that occur when you meet the right person at the right time. You think it's an accident, coincidence. It's serendipity. It's maybe where you were guided to be at that particular point in time. I love to think that and I've come to understand that I thought I was in charge. No, I'm not in charge. My guide's in charge, guiding me to where it is that I need to go, where I'm supposed to be, to help me realize my soul's purpose, my soul's intentions. And I've had to wrap my mind around that one in the last 3 to 4 months, and because it's a different way of thinking about my life experience, who I encounter, where I encounter them. These things have been happening for 40, 50 years. It's just that I understand now that I'm on this track to achieve various things. We have various intentions that our soul vision board kind of encompasses, that we are supposed to, that we've said, hey, we're going to do this thing. I'm going to do this thing. And at some particular point in time, I'm going to accomplish this, or I'm going to be there at this particular time. I'm going to do whatever. And that the dance it takes to get there, the dance that we go through on a daily basis to life's music, sometimes we think it's haphazard, and we may get a little upset about it, a little ticked off because it didn't happen the way we thought it was supposed to occur. And the trick is flexibility, flexible thinking, to be open to, like you said, oh, it's a traffic jam, and we may go down, and then we run into that restaurant that we've been looking for God knows how long, right? I've been looking for a great Thai restaurant. It's been right here all the time,
right.
and I didn't know that.
And then you meet the person who can come and clean your house or babysit your dog or whatever it is. They happen to be sitting at you, or you overhear a conversation. You say, I don't mean to be eavesdropping, but it's just the information that you needed about XYZ topic.
Exactly.
And and I love it, Michael, because you really illustrate that miraculous events don't only happen in spiritual places like India or in Israel or wherever the legends of old have said miracles happen. Miracles are sometimes, for me anyway, there's a neighbor who took in not just 2 of the kittens that I rescued, but also the mother, and she has not really had an interaction with humans. She's older than the kittens. The kittens, it's a totally different situation. But just for her, the day that, and she's only had the cat 3 days, stopped hiding under the blankets or hiding from her and came out to actually sit in the room and be with her in her presence, not just for food, but actually, and that brought her so much joy. Yeah. And I know that feeling, and it is miraculous to her.
So do I.
It's an opportunity.
You experience it a lot more than I do because you bring in a lot of really, really, really young kittens, and for that you are to be absolutely applauded. I'm going to tell you.
Oh,
I have one big chunky kitten and cat, and who today we've been gone for 3 days, so she wouldn't shut up when we came home. I was in my office sitting at my desk, and she's talking to me. She's walking by and talking to me. Like, hey, I'm glad you're back. I said, you said that like 2 hours ago. I was like, I'm glad you're back. I'm glad you're back, though. Thank you very much. Yeah. Glad to see you back home. And I can tell you when I go to sleep this evening, she's going to be on that bed the whole night. And that's just kind of, and then it rubs off over a couple of days, and she's off doing her own thing again. But, she's asleep in the chair across from me, kind of upside down with the legs cattywampus, and just having a good time being in my presence, which is the way she is every single day. And, I make it a point a couple of days in advance to say, I got to tell you, we're going out of town in a couple of days, and we're going to be gone for a few days.
So sweet.
I do that every day, a couple times a day. I look at her and give her a little pet and then look her in the eye and go, we're going to be gone. We're coming back. and give her that vibe, get her that energy, and maybe that vision that we're going to walk back in, of us walking back in the door. And we have somebody who loves her just as much as we do, who takes care of her, but she doesn't stay here, on short trips. So, it's if we give ourselves the opportunity, and I was thinking about this when you were just talking about, we have to lower the bar for what we think a miracle is. We have to lower that bar way down to, milligrams off the floor. I mean, literally, we have to. It's not a bolt of lightning, okay? Because you don't want a bolt of lightning. You might not survive it. You want
for sure.
Yeah. You're not looking for a bolt of lightning, and you're not looking for the door to open and somebody that the perfect vision of a human being to necessarily walk through that door in order for you to know that you're worthy of love. The littlest things can occur in your life. The circumstances can appear before you that give you the opportunity to experience the miracle that you create by making a connection.
Absolutely.
It is interesting. How many of our listeners go to work, come home, they don't go out and engage with the public in any way? Maybe they're not thinking about themselves in a way that allows them or enables them to go outside and make new friends, because it's not something that they're comfortable with or familiar with, because in one way or another. And that's the only way, really, that you're going to be able to make connections, is by putting yourself out there in a way that can help you do so, or paying attention to where you're guided to be and who's around you. At all times, I'm always alert to who's around me, wherever I am. I'm in the pool, I'm looking at people, I'm people watching. I'm seeing if their eyes meet mine, and if they do, I say hello. I make a connection. And if they just keep swimming by, don't worry about it. If they say, hey, how are you doing? I go, great. I ask them where they're from. And it just starts I met this Indian doctor, Dr. Sam. And he told me his full name. And I said it back to him about 4 or 5 times. He said, oh, my gosh, you can pronounce my name. And I said, yeah. I said, I can do that. But he says, I just call me Dr. Sam. And I said, that's really cool. And he told me a little about his life. And he was from St. Louis, and he retired after 42 years. He came over from India. He said, I've been here 42 years from India. I said, really? And he says, yeah. And he kind of gave me an idea about, what he did. And I thought it was fantastic. Then he told me that his wife had gastrointestinal issues. And I told my girlfriend about what the doctor said on our show, Dr. Nicosia, about gastrointestinal issues. And I said, ooh. And I said, I wonder. But our audience will have to listen to that episode to find out what I'm talking about, because I don't want to go into it now. But I loved what you said about the nervous system, reminding our people that the nervous system reacts to what you believe is true. And our feelings and our emotions and what we're thinking, they all are components of creating the miracle. It's not just one thing. It's kind of all those things. Believing it's possible is that miracles are possible, and applauding yourself for experiencing being the witness to a miracle, whether it's happening to you or whether it's happening to someone else, and being grateful that miracles in whatever form, to whatever degree, actually happen.
Right.
The more you bless and thank yourself, you're grateful for the miracle, the more you'll notice them, and the more that they'll seemingly be everywhere.
100%. Remember, my mother and I always shared a love of butterflies, and when she passed, and I was sitting outside in the front and just sitting a little bit dumbstruck, and this beautiful butterfly just came and it alighted on my knee, and it just stayed there. And I don't even know how much time passed. It was just so amazing and so beautiful, and it just stayed there until it was time for it to alight and be gone. And I sort of I felt that was a connection, and it was a really important time in my life. It's a big difference when you don't have this force of nature that's always been such a big part of your life. But I think that moment was, to me, very miraculous. It was something that I wouldn't want to have missed if it, alighted on my knee and I took my finger and like, shush, get away. I don't want that bug on me. And I think it's a good analogy for us to recognize that sometimes things will come across our path that may or maybe not perceived as an irritant, but they're definitely here for us to recognize that of what's possible, and that connection to love, which I believe continues well beyond when we are in this physical existence on this plane.
Oh, no doubt. Love is the thread that runs through the non-physical vibrational life we experience and the physical vibrational life we experience. It is the most common thread. It runs through each and every one of us. If we could just understand that and live from that, our lives and the lives of the people around us would change in again, miraculous ways. Not to use the word, but it is. They refer to love as a miracle, and it's something that we create. It's a mindset we have as well, and a state of being we live from. Just like believing in miracles. That's a miracle. The miraculous is living from that is and having a state of being that miracles occur and that love is present. It's omnipresent. It is. It's just that we have to see it, and we have to propagate it. We have to nurture it and continue to believe in it. In the midst of even some of the most horrific circumstances that are out there, you have to believe in it. If you have any doubts about it, you can at the time we're making the show, the Lahaina fire is huge, and the beauty of that situation is that people are coming together in their ohana, their belief in family, that we are all family, we are all one, is of that itself is rooted in love, and the most amazing miracles are occurring every single day. And if we could just stay away from the politicized aspect of it, or the thing I've come across lately, is that what can interrupt that is when you start thinking, hey, how come this stuff didn't come earlier? How come the government didn't help us? Who makes you think that way? No, I mean, that's the kind of thing that just disrupts the whole loving ohana feeling. When you start getting dropping into the lower realm of anger and hatred for this or that, or feeling, experiencing that sort of thing, those lower feelings and emotions, and succumbing to those. Stick to the love, stick to the ohana. That's how things get better. They don't get better by dropping into lower frequencies, the negative frequencies. They get better by sticking in the higher frequencies, enlightenment and love and connection and joy and gratitude. That's where you survive, and you thrive. Okay, in life, you thrive doing that.
That's absolutely so true, Michael. I'm smiling from ear to ear, because you so often echo exactly what's in my mind and in my thoughts, and I think that's important to recognize that so many of us have individuals in our lives that will dismiss something, that we'll be so excited, and we can't wait to tell somebody, and they'll just say, oh, that was nothing, or that's just a fairy tale, that can't exist. And I think it's important as you claim your own personal sovereignty and you really anchor into the truth of who you are and how miraculous you are, that you sometimes it's okay, you don't need validation from somebody else, and you can say to somebody, well, I'm sorry you don't feel that way, because this is really special to me. And then move on to the next person who will go, wow, that's incredible. I can't believe that. That's amazing. And I'm sure, Michael, going back to your golf game, how many people said, well, you're not going to be able to play today. Those aren't your clubs. Like, how could you even think that you could even achieve or do
anything? It's going to be the worst round of my life because, I don't have any expectation it's going to be any better. And let me tell you something interesting, because this is how an example of the people I hang around with. Not one, but two people told me, yeah, you'll probably shoot the best game of your life with those things. Two people said that before I teed off.
They were sharing in the blessings for you.
Yeah, they're sitting there. Yeah, I said, yeah, don't worry, man. You're going to shoot the best round of your life with those clubs. They weren't thinking, the worst of it. They're thinking the best. And I'm going, yeah, that's a realism that can happen, and I'll embrace that thought. Thank you very much, So it's awesome. Life is amazing. I'm looking forward to the next 3 days of being able to play and enjoying the company of those I play with and around and all the experiences that'll come from that and afterwards. Life is. Right. Is an amazing adventure, and it always is. It's incredible. So I always give thanks for being on the show with you.
Yeah, no, I'm so grateful, Michael, and I just want to extend to our Connect to Love audience here on PRN FM. We both, Michael and I, invite you to embrace all the love that's in your heart. Open it up so big that you can just share it with everybody and really allow yourself to live in the miraculous. And we can't wait to hear the feedback of what unfolds for you, because you are so deserving. And may all your days be blessed.
Yeah, Always. Thank you so much.
Always. Thank you.